Digging the shirt, Matt.
I like to, wear funky shirts when I'm stuck at home just to help myself feel good.
It's chilly outside, but hey, some real summery vibes from that shirt right there.
It's a party going on here. One sec, actually. I have the hat to boot if we need it.
All right, because Shivy complained on it the last episode, I need to play my intro song, and I'm actually going to do an intro this time.
Let's do it.
You
Yeah,
ready for this?
for sure.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of Hello We Don't Talk Let's Talk, the talk show where I reconnect with old friends. I'm your host, Christopher Hua, and today my guest is uh, I'll be honest, don't know much about him, hence the reason for the show existing. He is establishing a name for himself in the, I guess, real estate world of Kitchener Waterloo and maybe beyond. Who knows? We'll find out. It's Matthew.reitzel. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Hello. Awesome. Chris, hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited.
Excited to have you here. I'm going to maximize this so that it looks better. Um, how's your day going?
I have no complaints. Yeah, today's been good. Got up, kind of slept in a little bit. Um, Went for a nice walk because I was feeling really stiff, and then had some food. Then was just like working on some YouTube stuff for our YouTube channel. Yeah, this is kind of the big thing going on today. I was really excited when you when I saw your Facebook post being like, "Hey, who would want to be on a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, that's. I mean, the whole premise once you explained it, I was like, that's a really cool idea because me and Kurt have a podcast too, but we're talking strictly about real estate, right? So I
Mhm.
like this idea because it's just two people having a conversation, and I listen to a lot of other podcasts that are like that, like Joe Rogan, for example, or something.
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, today's been good so far. How about you?
Uh, Pretty steady. I went to bed at like a bit after 1 a.m. I like went for a walk because I wanted to play video games with my friends, but my housemates wanted to sleep, and I can't do those two because these walls are like paper thin and they're gonna hear everything and
Ah,
it'll disrupt them. So I'm just like, all right, see my friends in Discord. I'm just gonna go for a walk and talk to my friends, and then when I hopefully route back home, it'll be time for bed. I was like wide awake for like 30 minutes after that. It is cold as shit at quarter after midnight. Uh,
right.
so I
Yeah.
walked for like, I don't know, 2.5K and then got home, just kind
Nice.
of stayed in bed and then went to bed.
How do you track those kilometers? Is there like an app or something that you use or?
I just trust what Google told me I did. Like I had my phone on
Oh,
me, so I'm
okay.
just like, all right,
Right.
we'll track every single step I take throughout my life, and then we'll look at it on occasion when that
True,
information
true. Yeah.
seems interesting. Um,
Yeah.
So, as always, we start off the show with the last time that we met. And to my
Ooh.
recollection, that would be when your firm had a sort of movie screening of the Jungle Book, like the most
Oh
recent
yeah.
adaptation of the Jungle Book. And I think that was the last time I saw you in person over at the now defunct Frederick Cinema.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
What year was that? That would have been like 16 maybe?
I was like 16 or 17. I'm sure
Yeah,
that if I were to Google it, I could get a absolutely correct answer, but
right.
we're just gonna ballpark it.
That's fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Close enough.
Um, so the firm, Reitzel Real Estate. What's the official title of it?
Yeah, so Jim Jim Reitzel team is what the team's called. Um it was Jim Reitzel. He's been selling real estate for over 30 years. He had Reitzel Real Estate in the past, and then in like 19 in their mid 1990s, Keller Williams came to Canada, so he opened a Keller Williams franchise
Uh,
here in Kitchener. So switched from Jim Reitzel Realty to Keller Williams, still with the Jim Reitzel team, kind of underneath that umbrella. Selling real estate with his two sons and sort of growing the office or market center, as it goes in the Keller Williams lingo. And then yeah, so about 5-6 years ago, we kind of got hooked up with them. We shared the same last name, but I actually never really knew these guys until like 6 years ago. It's kind of funny the way the whole Reitzel last name works, because it's just such a large family, and it gets a little bit tricky just because my dad was actually adopted. So technically, I'm actually not blood related to any
Oh
of these
wow.
guys. So, and then yeah, my dad's relationship with his family is fairly good, but we just don't see them very much, and there's so many of them. So yeah, we kind of, interestingly enough, like you've probably got them, like Jim on the team, we send out, birthday goodies on everyone's birthday,
Yeah.
like to Subway or something like that. So we were getting those from Jim, and then my dad, me and Curtis were always like sort of, I guess about like 7-8 years ago, always interested in like investment real estate. And then finally my dad's like, go talk to Jim. And then it kind of went down this bunny hole of like, you don't have very much money. You want to invest in real estate. Maybe it's a good idea just to get your real estate license. And then, yeah, we started working with him, and then kind of the rest is sort of history, I
That's
guess,
wild.
as it goes.
Because in my mind, I just had like, I just painted the picture just based on the naming scheme of it all. Was that it was like, okay, just blood relatives, just like carrying on family business or something along those lines. But it's interesting to hear the backstory that was just the
Yeah.
misconception on my part.
Yeah, and like Jim's still kind of in the game right now too. Like he's been kind of in and out over the last couple of years, but he's definitely getting on the older side. Like he could be my granddad. And his sons could, like, they're like my parents' age.
Mm.
So like everybody in the office has that same confusion. They all think I'm like Jim's grandson or something,
Yeah.
but like we're like second cousins or something
Oh wow.
technically, but
Yeah.
not even by blood. So yeah, it's interesting.
So you said that you started to get like you had always had an interest in real estate investment. Is there any particular like
Yeah.
impetus that really like seeded that?
Yeah, for sure. And oh, I'm gonna sound like the typical guy or gal who's interested in investment real estate when they get asked that question, because I think a lot of people sort of spout back to this, but it was the book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that book.
Completely out of my wheelhouse. Tell me about it.
No, yeah, it's one of those books that it definitely was like a pivot point for me. It it's worthwhile checking out for sure, for anybody, because it kind of outlines the difference, um, really between like working for money and having money work for you. And he has a couple other books, like the four quadrants, where basically on like the left side you have, generally it's like employees, and like you're kind of working for money, and then on the other side you have like business owners and investors, and you're kind of having money work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of, I guess, gave me an insight into a potential different route, because I was always sort of under the understanding that um, you just kind of had to work until you're 50 or 60 or 70 or whenever that time is that you can afford to retire, and then then you do that, and then you go live your life. Where it kind of just opened my eyes to a different opportunity where, you know even with sort of modest means of income, to just kind of push off buying some stuff that I want, to be able to save some on the side, and to be able to kind of invest that into something, whatever that is. It doesn't really have to be real estate, but just having some money work for you on the side, because we're young.
Oh
I
yeah.
might I kind of, I joke like I'm 28 and I'm starting to feel old, and where's the time gone? But like we still have so much time, hopefully. Um,
Yeah, with the way
but
things are going,
yeah, I
things are
know.
so
Sorry, I
uncertain.
I, I kind of do roundabout answers, so I apologize that I'm not like
Nah, it's all good.
to the point sometimes.
Um, so when we met, it was fifth grade. I just transferred to EZ. I guess like in the
Right.
years between when we met and I guess when we sort of reconnected, because you like cold called my house. I think it was in like
Right.
second year university. I was like, oh, that's a name I haven't heard in forever. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I guess like how was like high school and stuff for you? What'd you do after high school? Was it just immediately right into investment? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I was like, at I going to WCI, like I would say going into high school, I was just starting to become a bit of a rebel. I was always such a like on point with school, like elementary school, middle school, really just like making my parents proud.
A classic
Um,
Keener.
exactly, yeah. So like I did really well, and I always went to class, and um, made my parents proud. And then sort of high school kicked in, started to get a little more rebellious, um, and then that was probably like the mid couple years of high school, and then sort of towards the end of grade 12. I mean, grade 11, I realized I wasn't going to be done in time. So talking about this whole fifth year, the prospect of the fifth year, the victory lap as they call it, to make you feel good. Um, so then that's sort of when I started just really screwing off really hard. And then so then yeah, I did the fifth year. I did co-op at an auto shop. I don't know if
Nice.
you're yeah, I did it was this place called Ron's Auto. It's like right in behind Enio's on King.
Yeah, I've seen the
Like
signage. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was there doing the co-op and basically being like their sweep boy. Um they had this stupid thing where um because there's constant like oil spills in an auto shop, right, doing oil changes and stuff, so they have this like, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the sand gravel stuff that you put on an oil spill, and then you have to like kind of rub it into the ground,
Yeah.
and it soaks up all the oil, and then you can just sweep it up.
Mm-hmm.
So now looking back, I feel like such a goof because they had like this the sweep up dance where like you spray it down, you put it down, and then you like do this like little shimmy thing on it. But now realizing like they were just making fun of me the
It
whole
was just to get
time.
the timing right. It's a totally legitimate thing.
So that that was when I realized that, because before this actually I always wanted to have like a custom, like a West Coast Customs sort of deal, like an auto shop where you're doing like cool stuff to cars,
Yeah.
um, which I think it's still, it could potentially still be in the wheelhouse depending on where life takes me, because I do like cars, um, but just realizing that I don't really enjoy like getting in there, and um, like I enjoy it but not as something that I'd want to like have as my job, or like something that I have to do every day.
Mhm.
um, so then after my fifth year, I kind of buggered off for like 2 years, and I was this whole time always working at Sobeys. I started working at Sobeys, Bridgeport and Weber, when I was 16, and then worked there for like 7 years. So, um, and then yeah, so after high school, just kind of dinking around for like 2 years working there, and um, my brother was kind of always in my ear. He's about a year and a half younger than me, and he's always been kind of like the more I guess motivated, kind of like pushing. And he was like, yo, there's
Just like a real go
um
getter.
yeah, he's like, yo, check this book out, and like, check out this YouTube video. He's always sending me stuff even to this day, like to keep the education going and just different ideas. He was like, dude, you should really go to college. And um, he went before me, which, being the younger brother, was kind of a disappointment to my parents, thinking they were like, yeah, Matt's gonna just like keep continuing this train, and then all of a sudden it just like came to a halt. All the while living at home, and yeah, so then I finally said, screw it, let's do it. I've always had a keen interest for like entrepreneurship. So I was like, I'll do a 2 year business program at Conestoga, and that was like 2012 to 2014. because like before that, I was always like, I always had little schemes for making money. Like I remember in middle school and even into high school, I pretty much always had like like a candy and chocolate supply in my locker.
Nice.
Um, and
That,
I
that
would always do it legally too. I just go buy 2 for $1 candy at the dollar store, and I would just sell it for $1 at
yeah,
school.
you get that markup going. That is my favorite sort of entrepreneurship story, where like every school has that kid that is just
Mm,
selling, whether it be candy, like sodas, juice, chocolate milk. Sometimes
yep.
it's wild.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and then it sort of, I guess, progressed, doing more stuff on like Kijiji and eBay, just like buying and selling like garage sale type of stuff. I used to buy these. I don't know if I could. It's in the past. You've
Statute
probably
of
heard of a
limitations
site
is
called.
up.
There's this site. It probably still exists called like Alibaba. You can just go
Yeah,
buy a
yeah.
bunch of stuff from. Yeah, so I'd buy these like Insanity DVDs and P90X, like the workout, and I'd buy like a case, and you get them for like 20 each, and they sell for like 160. So I'd sell them for like 100. Um, just different silly stuff like that. And then that's what Kurt was always in my ear. He's like, dude, you're always doing these things. Like, why don't you just like try and formalize that, I guess, with school? So then it was like halfway through my first year of business, I was like, wow, there's just a cool different way of thinking about stuff here. So then that's that's when the whole Reitzel team thing started coming to, because we were doing lots of different, like all these different real estate training things, like spending way too much money on like weekend seminars and stuff, like thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
um, to not really have anything happen. So it was nice to connect with some local guys that do investment real estate, and so that kind of got that uh, started. I forget what the where was I actually going with all this. I feel like I'm just outlining everything. There was supposed to be a point here.
I mean, whether or not there was, it's all a good discussion. So it's basically just like just flipping one thing after another, and it's just like going on to bigger and bigger things until you eventually hit real estate, which is just like prime flipping territory.
Right, right. Yeah, you were talking about what sort of started it all. So yeah, the Rich Dad book, which like he really likes real estate, so definitely a worthwhile check out. But yeah, it's kind of just progressed up and up and up, and now um, just it's kind of just like a higher the price values have just gone up, because real estate you could do the exact same thing with. You just buy something that's a piece of crap and upgrade it and sell it. We actually haven't done any flips. All the stuff that we have is all just like buy and hold,
Mm-hmm.
with like uh,
Just sort of like
minimal
brokering
actual.
between a buyer and a seller.
Yeah, like for our investments, we haven't done any flips, but just like buying and holding. But with our clients, we've done lots of that stuff. And um, you've probably heard of meetups.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we started a meetup. We'll just plug it here real quick. Tri-City Real Estate Investor Club, on meetups, and so that's a cool group for investors. We have like 400 people in there that we uh, we do like a monthly meetup, which is now we're doing everything by Zoom. We were doing everything in person. We'd have like 50 or 60 people out, which was really cool, and everyone who just kind of is like-minded, and you know various different levels, I guess, of experience, like some super newbies and then some guys that own like tons of stuff and everything in between. Um, but yeah, just kind of progressing up the flips, I guess.
How is arranging a so like in a sort of social gathering of dozens of people in a physical space, you just kind of like mingle around the room and stuff. How does that translate to Zoom?
It's been interesting, yeah, because like the way we've had our meetups sort of structured is everyone comes in. There's like 15 minutes of sort of networking, and then typically we're either interviewing an investor or kind of interviewing each other, I guess. So there's like a set time block of like an hour or an hour and a half where everybody else is just kind of seated, and
Mhm.
then we're like at the front doing something. So it's, in a sense, it's kind of like a presentation, and then typically it's an interview with some other investor, either in the club or somebody who we just know is doing uh, like who's successful, who could add some value, and then Q&A at the end, and then another 15 minutes of networking. So how that's really transferred like pretty easily. I mean, like Meetups integrates directly with Zoom, which is kind of handy. um, so everyone just hops on. Typically there's I mean, the last one we just did, we just kind of rolled straight into an interview with everybody else just muted, and then at the end we just, anybody can unmute themselves or put their question in the chat. um, it's definitely, you kind of miss out on that person to person, shaking hands, like one-on-one networking opportunities that you do get um, in person, but I think it's still effective. It's kind of the
Of a worse,
best
of
thing we have
yeah.
really at the moment, right?
Speaking about the moment, for context, if anybody listens to this in like years
Right.
from now, this episode is recorded during the coronavirus epidemic.
Yep.
How has that impacted your day to day?
Um, well, it was interesting. I was listening to your episode with Shiv. Shout out to Shiv, because we're also people who haven't talked in a while that probably should talk again soon. Um, it's it's impacted it in a way. Like a lot of my life is still pretty much the same. It's just like I'm not actually going to the office to do any of the things that I would normally be doing. Like the beauty thing about being a realtor is like if you have a phone and an internet connection, you can kind of hook up anywhere.
Mhm.
So it's changed the fact that I'm not doing appointments at the office anymore. It's all Zoom stuff. Um, it's also changed how showings work too, because it's, you just have to be super careful when you're going out there. And also, like, do you actually have to move? Because if anybody doesn't have to,
It's probably not
I'm
the
just
best
really
time to do it
urging them
right
to
now.
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why are we going to go out and put yourself at risk and put other people at risk? But that being said, realtors and like real estate lawyers and property management were all deemed an essential service when that news came out.
Mhm.
Um, that would have been like um, a week and a bit ago. So, and I think the reason for that was because some people had already sold their house, and they were like, they were trying to find a place, and now they're going to be homeless.
Yeah.
So they got to go find something. So those are the people we're continuing to work with. But it's like, hey, I'm going to go view the place myself. I'm going to make sure I'm totally wiped down. I'm not going to bring my shoes inside. I'm going to sanitize everything. I'm not going to touch anything. But if I do, I'm going to sanitize it, and I'm going to do a Zoom tour for you and like take you through the property. And then if you like it, we'll make an offer conditional upon you actually seeing the place. So it's
Mhm.
just limiting the amount of times that you're actually going out there. And which I think like this whole time is so interesting because like I've noticed some conspiracy theories coming out
Oh dear.
with with like how like I think it's a lot of the anti-vaccine people, like it's the same type of situation right now where coronavirus, I don't know if you heard this, it's like coronavirus is like some sort of constructed hoax, um, somehow planned in some way so that we can get these vaccine, they have these like, there's this technology they're basically apparently working on, like Bill Gates and whatever, where it's like you get a vaccination, but it also kind of tags you in a sense so that
Yeah.
you can find out that you've been vaccinated so that you can come back out into the workforce and go outside again. And people are basically like, I always, it just makes me like cringe a little bit. People thinking that like Bill Gates could be a bad person, but maybe I'm just a sheep and I'm getting fed the story too, because Bill Gates just seems like such an awesome guy, like with the Gates Foundation and all the stuff he's
Oh
doing
yeah.
with like world health issues.
Just
Um,
incredible humanitarian.
so then people are like, yeah, Bill Gates is trying to like scheme so he can get you vaccinated so that like Google and Facebook can like track your every move. I don't know if I really, I
Yeah.
guess, what are your thoughts on
I
that? Have you heard anything about that?
I have not heard it, but I will believe that people do think that that is a conspiracy that goes around because, like, especially the anti-vax movement in general is just such an insane thing to believe in this day and age, where it's just like, no, the science is sound. Just take your shots unless you literally can't. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah, I err on the side of science for sure.
it's just an aspect of this world that I just don't want to exist in it. Uh,
Yeah, I'm like, Bill Gates is a good guy. Let's ease up on the conspiracies.
get off
Do
his
what you
back.
want with your thoughts, though, for sure.
Feel free to criticize how he got his money in the first place. Like that's fine. That's fair game. Don't make up
For sure.
weird ideas. I actually have a question in my Twitch chat.
Oh, cool.
My friend John would like to know what your opinion is on new units right now, given how hard construction is. Is it worth waiting 5, 7, or 9 years to wait for a place to finish?
Ooh, that's a good question. So yeah, new constructions all like, um, it depends. Like, I don't know if we can get a live response from him on whether he's looking at this to be moving into himself or as an investment property. Um, I'll sort of generally touch on it in both ways. Like, if you're looking to for something to move into, well, can you wait that long? Then sure, that's fine. Like, if you have a place and you can, you're not going to be homeless, so you can wait 5, 7, 9 years to get that, then awesome. Typically, I mean, it depends on what area you're in, but we found that a lot of people who like bought something pre-construction here in Kitchener Waterloo and it's not ready for a year or two, typically it's gonna be worth more than when they bought it. But how long does that go on for? Like, does that continue forever when you buy something new for three and then when it's built, it's now worth 350? I mean, it worked for a long time, but markets don't just go like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at history, they ebb and flow. Now, as for an investment, um, I sort of, and this is probably one of my downfalls, I just shy away from the new builds because it's something that you don't really have. I just don't like how you don't have the control, because it's just physically not there. Like, the builders tend to delay, and it can be delayed and delayed and delayed, and now your money's tied up for all this time because you have to do these incremental deposits, um, throughout. So me personally, I prefer buying something that's already there because I can actually go and see it right now and then go close on it in like a month and get a tenant in there, basically just as quickly. So it's not for everybody. I sort of put like buying something that's ready and putting a tenant in it as more investing, honestly, and buying like a pre-construction something as more of speculating, and because it's impossible to say what it's going to be worth when it's done. And with something that's already there, I don't really care what it's necessarily going to be worth in the future, because the whole my whole premise with a tenanted property is you're providing a beautiful place for your tenant to live, and they're helping you pay down your mortgage. So
Mm-hmm.
your mortgage is just getting paid down over time. If the property is worth 300 and then it's worth 300 again in 30 years, that doesn't really bother me because my $250,000 mortgage has just been going down over time. So
The gains
that's
come
kind of where
back.
your wealth is built.
Yeah.
Yeah, like appreciation's nice, but I don't necessarily count on it. It's kind of like a cherry on top.
I'll hook you up with each other's contact information after this, just because it seems like
Oh
John's
sure, yeah,
particularly interested in hearing your thoughts on things. But
sure, yeah. Happy to chat.
so I feel like when you started at your firm, you was reaching out to me part of like a new sort of I guess initiative in terms of like getting more business in as sort of like social networks have expanded in the last like decade or so. And what sort of innovations have you seen in your time working in this area?
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, when we first started getting into real estate, Jim, his whole thing, and his whole thing still is your it's all about your database. So it's all about the connections that you have. I don't necessarily love the term database to refer to like your network of people, but it's just a way that people kind of understand. And it's, just keeping track of your um, relationships. And one of his first sort of assignments when we got into real estate was kind of create a list of all the people that and just sort of start touching base with them. Right. So
Mhm.
that was basically the reason why I had been reaching out, because I knew you. And why not start with the people that you already know, whether that relationship's limited or more expanded. The only It's just, as opposed to, which I've done a lot of this too, just like ringing up random neighborhoods, which is like a really cold call.
Oh wow.
Um, just saying, whatever it is that you're saying,
Reading
to
off the
just
script.
these like, hey, we have, there, you can do generic ones like, hey, we have a lot of interest in your neighborhood, which is true because there's such limited supply. Do you know anyone who might be thinking about selling? Or how about yourself? Or, we had a buyer just miss out on a home in the neighborhood. Do you know anyone else who's thinking of selling? Basically just trying to, gauge their interest or see if they know anyone. But I think with the network, it's just like maintaining and um, building and deepening those relationships. And I haven't been the greatest at it, but I think, yeah, and one thing I noticed too, especially with reaching out to people who are more my age or even younger, is the phone call, um, to sort of touch on your question of how things are adapting. Is a lot of people aren't really like that receptive to a phone call, just because
That's just not a
no,
way that
like,
we communicate with each other on a day-to-day
right,
basis. And so like any sort of phone call that isn't a telemarketer, like evidently a telemarketer, we just like treat with some
right,
hesitation, or to our parents, I guess. Those are like the only
exactly.
two types of calls that anybody receives on a given day.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like over time, as I've been touching base with people, they sort of, come to realize that I'm not just calling them just to get business. This is like, I intend to be in touch with these people and in, in real estate in general for a long period of time. So it's, that's something that I learned really quick, was that, it's, I can't just be asking for business all the time, because that really turns people off.
Mm.
And really realizing the way that I engage with like a telemarketer type phone call, if I don't know the number, if it's not in my contacts, or if it doesn't ring a bell, I'm not answering the call. And that's just kind of how I behave. And if you leave me a voicemail, then I'll call you back. But if you don't, then you try me again.
Yeah.
Um, so just kind of realizing the way that we behave. So, leaning more towards like social media, um, keeping in touch with people that way, whether that's just like commenting on people's posts, or just staying in touch, I guess, more with the times. Because yeah, I guess one of the lessons is communicate with people how they desire to be communicated with, right?
Yeah. Nice.
Not everybody wants a phone call, but a phone, it's also, you miss a lot of the communication when it's just over text. Like, you could look at a sentence and it could be interpreted in many different ways in a
Mm.
lot of cases.
You
And you
lose the
can't,
tonality of how
yeah, you
messages are
can't,
delivered.
yeah, you can't hear how much I care. And like that, it's not just all about business. So yeah.
In terms of the actual, I guess work itself, like a house tour, have you dabbled in sort of like a virtual house tour setup, especially depending on how long this whole thing lasts? Just
Yeah.
like having that sort of, uh, I was gonna say opportunity, but like that sort of technology for people to not even have to physically see the house in person.
Yes, true. Yes, to even sort of skip the Zoom call part of it, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
here's the
So
house,
there's,
you can do it at your leisure. You don't have to schedule a time for you to do this and that.
right. Yeah. We've been doing that on our listings for years now. It's like a virtual tour, they call it. And it's kind of like the I've never actually seen the photographer do it, because we always just send him to the listings. But the way I imagine that he does it in my head, and this probably isn't true, is basically like a camera in the middle of the room on a tripod, and then you just like rotate it around, so you can kind of like get in the middle of the room and like look around it that way. But there is this really expensive technology called Matterport. it's like it basically doll houses the house. So you could like zoom out and look at it from up above, and you can literally see all the floors, and then you can zoom in and like look at the like
The fine
the
details.
yeah, you can like look at the baseboards. So there is technology like that, and I think we're with any of the listings that have been getting listed, it's just leaning more on those two. You want to eliminate the need to come and look at the place. So yeah, having better pictures, having actual video tour attached to it, um, and then yeah, so that is something that we've been like talking about a lot, and just getting on board with it, because we don't know how long this is going to last.
Mhm.
Some people are saying it's going to be quick. I don't think it's going to be that quick. So just kind of adapting into it.
In I'm considering starting a coronavirus betting pool where we predict when the World Health Organization declares it no longer a pandemic that we need to worry about and we're allowed to go outside.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
my boss's money is in August. Uh, my guess was sort of end of July. Where do you where do you want this to finally be over with? Or I guess where do you think it's going to be over?
Over in the sense that we can
Go
kind of
back to our
start getting back
previous,
to
yeah,
normal, or like, yeah, because I kind of view it like that's definitely the first step. When they say that, okay, this is under control, now get back to normal. And then I think there's also some time from then until when everything actually gets back to normal,
yeah,
and whether
and like we have a
whether that
vaccine or
normal
something.
is this yeah, whether that normal is the same normal as it is right now, I kind of highly doubt that. But yeah, we're mid April, so I mean, I would like to think somewhere kind of in those similar time frames. um, I think generally things are getting handled decently. I try to stay up to date on things, and I know there are certain areas of the world that aren't handling it as well, or
Mm.
and as swiftly as they probably should be. Um, but yeah, probably like May, June, July, August, September. I'd say from your definition of when World Health Organization says okay, you can go back, probably like September
Gotcha.
would be my
Uh,
would be my guess,
that's
and
fine.
I'm just a dummy,
Oh yeah,
so.
none of us are scientists that have made guesses so far, and we're probably just like very limited in education on how things work in the world. But yeah, September, I'll jot it down. I'll keep a running list, and whoever ends up being correct, I'll like buy a 6 pack of Corona. That'll be
What
the
kind of
reward.
money we got on this?
Just a 6 pack of Corona.
Oh, a six pack. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Well,
I'm down.
yeah, it's a good reward. It'll be a cherished memento for sure.
I was on a video chat with one of my other friends lately, and he was like drinking a Corona, and we were joking about how that's kind of ironic right now.
um,
what like, sorry,
so
if you want to ask
no,
something, I
you
was
go,
just
you go.
curious. Yeah, we're talking about me a lot. I was just curious, like, um, what what you've been up to over the last little bit, just because I know, yeah, since the last time we actually spoke was a couple in person, at least a couple years ago. I know, we like comment on each other's stuff on social
Yeah.
media occasionally, here and there, but yeah, like what's your life been like over the last little bit?
I'm trying to like have as few stressors in my life as possible. So my life is literally just like work, like sleep, work, game, and then go to sleep again. And like that's just a nice routine I've
Nice.
found myself in. I should probably do much more. I started like working out mm, um, almost 6 months ago. Um, but then the gym's closed, so
Nice.
now that's been like taken away.
Oh yeah.
I like moved out, but yeah, it's really just like I
Oh nice,
haven't.
congrats, man.
Thanks. I'm being strongly encouraged to make bigger moves career wise, but it's just like there's not a whole lot that I want in the world, so it's just like just keep myself a stable paycheck, pay off, uh, my monthly costs, and then just like spend the rest of my time just connecting with people as much as I reasonably can. I still play
Yeah.
World of Warcraft like 2 nights a week,
Oh
so
nice, nice.
yeah, my network is vast. But yeah, I'm just currently working at an insurance company, uh, trying to make things better in like my immediate department as much as I can, especially in times like this.
Hmm.
But it's just like a nice sort of stable living. No, nothing too fancy.
Nice. Are you still like going into a location for work right now, or is it all at home?
Yeah, so I work in the mailroom of an insurance company, so we still receive physical documents that need to get processed.
Mm.
So as long as the post office is open, we still kind of have to have some sort of crew physically in the office to handle things.
Hmm.
Um, there were some like work from home initiatives that started but didn't really like pan out particularly well. So yeah, but after I hope that this sort of spurs our IT department to get to work on that sort of networking connectivity so that maybe after this is all over I can just start working from home more often because
Right on.
I mean
Yeah.
living at home feels great or work from home feels great.
No kidding. Yeah, yeah. Do they have you wearing any sort of like protective equipment while you're there, or any
Nope,
extra precautions?
just plain clothes. We've
Mm.
spread out our desk space a bit more just because it's available and we don't and social distancing is the hot keyword.
Yep.
Um, there are like gloves offered, but like nothing in terms of like masks or anything like
Right.
too much PPE.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a new wave right now, and this is going to be outdated probably by next week. But like everybody making like seen a lot of people posting about making like homemade face
Oh
masks.
yeah, I was in a chat with some friends earlier, and I guess my one friend's mom either is making them herself, and so like I just heard him ask like, "Hey, did you want a mask?" I'm just like, "Huh, didn't didn't realize that people were doing that." Um,
Hmm.
it's going to be a fashion emblem of this time, I think.
Right. Yeah, like different designs and stuff on them.
Yeah.
People really like showing off their personality.
I remember there's like a Dr. Oz video where it wasn't a scarf, but or like a full on face mask, but it was just like here's how to convert a bandana into a mask, and it was just
Mm.
like a bright red bandana, so it looked like a freaking gang member.
Oh yeah, I think I saw you post that, and then they
Yeah.
put the song on there, like he's a gangster. Yeah, that's too good. The internet's amazing. It's just it's so good. All the stuff that you post, it's like right up my alley too. I love it. I
happy
always get a good
to
chuckle when I see your post, so thank you.
happy to provide some comedy in these trying times.
Absolutely.
Um,
So what?
so we've gotten pretty deep into your work life. What are you doing sort of outside of work? I know that you said you had a show, but even then, that's still sort of like I guess is that sort of engaging more of real estate as a hobby as opposed to your actual career, or just like a supplemental sort of media piece?
Sorry, you're talking about the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the Reitzel brothers show is kind of like an arm to the business, just kind of tying into the whole branding thing and just like building something around what we're already doing. And so yeah, like the podcast and the YouTube, both are kind of started as, okay, how can we get our stuff out there so that, even when we're sleeping, like someone can be watching our content, or even something like, hey, what's a common question that we get a lot, so that we can just address it. And then kind of like a frequently asked questions board type of situation. I haven't really used it for that yet, but that was kind of like one of the ideas, to just like answer common questions about real estate. And then it's kind of adapted a little bit more now to where it is a little bit more fun. Like we're still editing most of our videos ourselves. Um, so it's like kind of getting into a creative zone in that um, respects, just trying to like throw some personality into it too, while also being educational, and just trying not to take it too too seriously, I guess. Like um, yeah, like I've always thought about doing a podcast that's more, not really business related, but I thought this is just a good opportunity for us to just kind of sharpen ourselves, while also providing what we think is valuable content. Like we've heard from some people that they think it's valuable, so we just keep doing it for that reason. And we're meeting new people by it too, which is interesting. Like people will reach out to us, say, "Hey, I watched your YouTube video," and it kind of creates a different kind of relationship versus, "Hey, I'm cold calling you. You live on 123 Main Street. You don't know me, but you are thinking of selling, and we're sitting down." That's kind of a different type of relationship where I'm kind of trying to like, I don't know, you're kind of coming from down here because they don't know me, but versus if somebody's already watched like 20 of my YouTube videos and they're coming to me to talk about investment real estate, it's like they already know me and they already, kind of think of me as kind of like a thought leader in that space. So there's kind of that built-in trust already. So yeah, that was like kind of one, I guess one of the main benefits to that. Like the people have so much time on their hands too right now, so they're just like watching stuff and listening to stuff. So if you're watching our stuff, that's awesome. We appreciate it because we put a lot of work into it. So yeah.
Right on, right on. You had a you had something that you want to say before I asked that question.
Oh yeah, I was thinking because I know you mentioned World of Warcraft and I didn't know that you were on Twitch until I was watching your episode with Shiv and you said that you were streaming these on Twitch.
Mhm.
And then I haven't really dove into your page too much, but are you like streaming pretty regularly then, or how?
So
That's kind of a new world to me. I don't really know too
ooh,
much about that,
welcome
and
to the world
I
of
game too,
online
so
broadcasting. So there was a time like in the previous expansion where I wasn't really like uh, in a leadership position, so it's just like, all right, I don't need to like say anything. Um, I could just like focus on the game, and then I could like any leftover brain power could like pay attention to chat or whatever. So that's when I was like actually streaming my raid content. But since then, I just kind of like fell off of it because there was just like too much to pay attention to. Where it's like, okay, I can't give like my stream the attention that it probably should receive. So as far as like game streaming goes, I like I'll like stream incredibly infrequently, mostly because uh, if there isn't an audience to talk to, which there usually isn't, it's just like hard to like sort of keep up the same energy as if there
mm,
was this like someone in there. Um,
right.
but yeah, like I have the capability. I might try doing it again, like next expansion that comes out hopefully towards the end of this year. But basically, my sort of raid content, at most I'll like save like our kill videos to like my YouTube channel, but that like the streams I leave to like other people in the raid.
I see. And then so you're mostly or exclusively with World of Warcraft, or is there any other games you're playing?
Been playing a lot of World of Warcraft 2 nights a week. The rest of the days either get spent on like League of Legends, miscellaneous sort of indie games that are single player. I think in general, I don't particularly enjoy single player experiences as much as multiplayer because like I just like the camaraderie that comes with a multiplayer game.
Hmm.
Um, but this last week I actually picked up the Division 2 on recommendation from a friend, so I'm doing that with some buddies that are all playing games now that they're back in or back to playing games out there in quarantine and can't really get out
Right.
as much, and that's a real hoot.
Nice. It's always good to, yeah, like that whole camaraderie aspect to like online games. I would say most of the time I prefer them. I play games too as well, and I've also considered um streaming because like why not? But I don't really have the setup. Like the laptop that I have is really crappy, so
Mhm.
I'm mostly like I'm on my iPad right now. I have an iPad and I have a cell phone, so I don't know if
Yeah,
that's going to allow
the
me to
options
do.
kind of limited are kind of limiting.
So what like are there options for me? Like I don't even have I play on a PlayStation 4 and I pretty much with the PS4. I don't have a webcam for it, and I have an iPad and a cell phone. I've Googled this a bunch, but I thought, heck, I might as well run it by you because you seem to know your stuff. So
I think strictly speaking, you can stream from like either an iPad or an iPhone. I know like most of the sort of IRL streamers will have that as their sort of like their system platform for which through which they stream. So if you just like point a camera at your TV, it'll give like a similar sense, but not quite like the sort of experience where the visual clarity of the game comes through on the stream. But still
well, the
technically,
PS4 will also stream
oh
directly to
right, it
Twitch.
does
By
that
the
have a
way,
functionality.
I should add that. Yeah.
Um,
So I've done that before, but I was just thinking like, how do I also show my face? I guess without getting the
Gotcha.
camera. I don't know if there's a way to do that with my phone.
Yeah, I unfortunately not having a PS4, I haven't looked into sort of that option too much.
Okay, that's
Whether
fine.
yeah, I'm sure that there is like some possible setup where it just like feeds into a stream and then you just sort of overlay your webcam on top of it. But unfortunately, I don't have that answer for you at this time.
No, that's okay because you probably run it all through. I've read online like an OBS or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll spend more time on Google. I don't need to use your brain power for silly stuff like this.
So what kind of games are you playing these days?
um, yeah, like I've always been a big Call of Duty fan, so the
Nice.
new yeah, and I have some friends who like playing that as well. So yeah, the like the new Modern Warfare, they just dropped the like their version of the Battle Royale,
The Warzone,
um,
I think it's called.
Warzone.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been playing that, and then I also mess around playing like some NBA games. And then when I'm feeling like, I guess NBA is when I'm not feeling like not playing online, but also there's a couple like Assassin's Creed's games that I like playing that you don't have to play with anybody else. I
Yeah.
don't even know if you can. And you just like go into your own little world and build your character
Do
and
some parkour.
explore all the lands and yeah, parkour. And I think that's really fun too. So,
Nice. Uh,
oh, and Steep. Have you ever played Steep?
I've not heard of it. What is steep?
Oh, um, it's basically like it's like a mountain based game and there's like you can snowboard, you can ski, um you can do like those flying squirrel
Like a hang
suits.
gliding suit.
Yeah, you can do like hang gliders. There's like 7 or 8 different things you can do from the top of mountains, and you're all just on mountains and different objectives and times to beat, and it's really fun
Yeah.
actually.
Now that's been described, I think I've seen like some footage of it. I did not know that that was the name of the game.
Yeah,
Uh,
the best one's the flying monkey suits, and you're
yeah.
like flying down, and you got to nail through these rings, and the courses are really hard, and you can go to these different like real life mountain ranges and stuff. So like the scenery is beautiful. It's really it's a really beautiful looking game.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So pre COVID, how else were you spending your time outside of work and gaming?
Oh yeah. Well, that would have been winter. So I mean, now that the weather's getting a bit nice, I feel like I'm kind of finding a little bit of the old routine, like getting out and like going for some bike rides occasionally when the sun's out. I like biking, so that's one thing that I like doing a lot. But with the gyms closed, you can't even like pedal on a machine
Mhm.
during the winter. So I've been kind of dying to like get out. So as soon as there was any bit of warmth, I was out riding a bike. Um, I definitely like cooking a lot. Like
Mm.
that's one of the things that whenever I travel somewhere, which is kind of off the books right now, traveling anywhere, unfortunately, but always trying to like find one of those meals that I really enjoy and like, getting the recipe and getting some tips from them. And then when I come back home, trying to sort of replicate it. Usually it doesn't work, but I end up creating some sort of custom version of it that I can create comfortably that's
it,
still
it does the job.
pretty, yeah. So like I have some stuff when I went to Thailand, some cool like spicy spicy Thai dishes that I've learned. And then when I was in Ghana, Africa, there was some cool like spicy bean and rice dishes. So yeah, I like cooking. I live with my brother, so he's on board with it because we make some pretty cool food here sometimes. He doesn't really cook that much, but he helps out with the dishes, so it's kind of like a win-win.
Oh yeah, you have to make
I
sure
don't
that the
mind it.
chores are evenly distributed. Whoever
Yeah,
cooks doesn't have to
exactly.
clean.
But yeah, you know that you have you said you live with some friends, right?
Yeah,
So do
we
you
have,
guys have like
we
a formal outline of house chores, or is it more
it's not like super
kind of
strict. Like we meal prep a lot of the time, so we just like bake
right?
chicken in the oven in like large batches, and we each sort of
Yeah.
have a hand in that. And then in the end, everything just ends up in a dishwasher. So like that
Oh,
eases
beautiful.
things so much. I can't like going 27 years without a dishwasher. Oh, it's heaven.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't wait to transition, man. I grew up washing dishes and we don't have a dishwasher here, so it's yeah, I like like I really look forward to getting one. But at the same time, like I'm perfectly capable of washing them, so
Oh,
it's
for
not like
sure.
something I absolutely just like, I absolutely need to spend that money to get one. Um but it's like I like to sort of pretend it, like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, have a little bit of time to think and kind of meditate. But in the moment, you're like, my hands are in the sink and I got food on them. This is kind of gross.
um,
But hey, that's what it is. What it is.
when do you think you're gonna transition to your next house? And what are some things that uh,
Ooh.
you definitely want to have as a feature that you do not currently possess?
Huh. It's a good question. I would say us, one of us or both of us moving out of this place will probably be at least um at least a year, but definitely within like I'd say by the time I'm 30, um, to have like my own space would be nice. I think that's not really a hard deadline because like living with my brother here it's working out. I'd say like 80 to 90% well. Like there's only some complaints that I really have about it, and I think for this time of my life, it's pretty awesome actually just to be able to stay connected with my only sibling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as for features, a dishwasher for sure, a dishwasher, yeah, and maybe like a little bit more of a backyard setup. Like we have a small, like a really small backyard with like a little bit of green space, and I have a little barbecue back there and like a little bit of garden. It's like it's maybe like 10 by 10 or something. My measurements aren't very good, but um, something like that. So having a bit more of a yard where I could like go out there and um, do activities. What outdoor activities? What do
Just so
people
much
do
room
with
for
that?
activities.
There's a field across from our place though, so it's like if I want to go do those activities, like uh, it's interesting to think about these things, like all the stuff you'd want to do, like have friends over and throw a frisbee or something. It's like all those things you just can't do right now. It's like, yeah, we're social distancing, but then we're also touching a frisbee, so that just doesn't work. Um,
just throw some gloves on. You'll be fine. Just don't lick the disc.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe maybe like some, I guess, uh, a bit of a like a more set like workout area, just because now realizing that hey, gyms could be shut on a moment's notice.
Just having the
Um,
option to work from home and like create carving out a space to do that seems
yeah,
pretty vital.
like yeah, like we have a couple of dumbbells here, like 10 pounders, and I was I was pretty consistent like 5 days a week at the gym, so I
Oh
really
wow.
miss it. So it's like I'm going for walks and using these little weights, and like my habits have just kind of slipped because I don't have the routine anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole physical activity aspect of this quarantine time has like my the habits. It's really hard to make a habit, and then it's really easy to just drop it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it's funny if you missed working out for a week, you could probably just like forget all about it. It's like that's kind of how some habits work for me, unless I've been doing it for years. And the working out's been kind of fairly consistent, but just not. Yeah, I guess the quarantine stuff's really just thrown a wrench in that for sure.
um,
What about you, man? What? That's such a good question. What are you missing in your place that you would like for your next place?
so that's the thing. When my friend sort of invited me to into this house because it was originally just like gonna be him and his brother, and then there was just like a room left over, so they figured, and they knew that I was looking. So the concept was that like every feature that we wanted as kids, we will just have in this house. So this included a dishwasher, a fridge with a built-in water dispenser, because apparently we
Ooh,
don't,
yep.
because you can't trust taps, I guess. Um, I think those are like the two big ones that they really
Those are
stuck to.
huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
and then
question.
there's like a dartboard in the living room, just like a
Oh,
nice
dartboard.
recreational thing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, nice. Yeah, that sounds like you got a sweet setup, man. The dishwasher, the water from the fridge. We don't have any of that, man.
Oh
You
yeah,
guys are balling out.
and ice tray. You know, just built-in ice cubes
Mm,
for
built-in ice
whatever you
cubes.
want ice
Yep.
for.
Yes. Oh, for the amount of times I use ice, like I'm wasting all these precious moments going in and cracking it out of the tray, and think of all the things I could be doing with all that extra time.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. You guys got a pretty sweet setup by the sounds of it,
yeah. Big fan of it. So
for sure.
just wheeling back to the cooking thing a bit. Do you feel like
Mm.
there was a reproduction, like a recreation that you did at home that like you feel actually pretty good about, of like those
Um,
dishes from abroad?
yeah, yeah, probably the stuff from Africa was probably the best because um, I think the reason why was because I actually spent some like I spent some time with the people who were actually cooking it, like while they were cooking it. So I kind of
You got the visual
it's yeah, you
learning.
get the visual. It's different than the dish I learned that was from Thailand because I ate the dish and I was like, I really love this. Can you give me the instructions? And it was just kind of a written thing. So
Mm-hmm.
then you're kind of referring to like Google to like confirm things and to try and get more information, but having that like firsthand, um, the one-on-one experience, I think like was huge for sure because that one came out the most similar for sure.
Nice. How did you go about picking where you were, or deciding like where you were going to travel? Was it for work-related things, or was it
Mm.
just purely leisure?
So the Thailand trip was because a good buddy of mine, Quincy, he just he was like, "Hey man, in a couple months, I want to go to Thailand for a month. Um, do you guys want to go?" And it was kind of one of those like, "I'm already going. Do you want to just join?" kind of situations. So I was like, "Sure." Like I can my schedule is kind of whatever I make it to be. So yeah, I can bugger off for a month in January. It's like the slowest month for real estate, and that was in like I my years always get mixed up, man. But I think it was like 2016. And so then yeah, that was the three of us, and for a month that was like the longest trip I've ever been on. I never thought I'd be able to do that. Incredibly affordable to go to Thailand. I had accumulated a ton of points on my visa, travel visa, for
Nice.
just from like spending so much money through my freaking visa, man. And then my flight costs were basically covered, and then it was just like food and hostels. Um, that was probably my favorite trip ever, actually. Like that was a cool one.
Nice.
And then the Ghana one was like a guy that we work with, Jeff. He works really closely with like a charity that they work really closely with an orphanage that's in Ghana. So it's kind of like they were doing like a aid trip to this location, but Jeff has been there like 20 times, so he kind of ran the trip, and he was like he would talk about Ghana, Africa all the time at his investment seminar, just kind of as one of his big whys, just like helping people, and money's good for the good it can do. And so we're like, yeah, we should go. So then we went there for 10 days with him, and that was like just like a year and a half ago. Um, so yeah, both trips kind of got sucked into him. Like
Nice.
just from other people going, they're like, want to come? And I was like, yeah, I guess, sure. Like I, I, I enjoy traveling, but I haven't made it that much of a priority lately to actually think like, oh, when am I going to go on my own self-designed trip? I just get sucked into other people's trips, I guess. Which is cool to have that opportunity and to be able to go do that. Was cool. Like Africa's, I don't know if you've ever been to Africa, man, but it's a different world.
I'll take
I
your
don't know
word
how they're
for it.
gonna do. I
Oh
don't know how
yeah.
they're gonna do with the coronavirus, man. Like the healthcare system is just like,
It's not. It's
yeah,
not
it's
great.
nothing like we have here for
Yeah.
sure. Nothing like it. Yeah, and the place that we were in is just, yeah, it's in like, it's just so impoverished, and everyone is like so happy. It's like, why are you so happy? You have nothing. And they're like, everything's good. I'm just gonna find some food to eat today, and it just gives you a different outlook. Like just you become so grateful for everything that you have here, and you realize that all your little issues that you worry about are just so not like just not worth worrying about. You have a roof over your head. You have something you can eat. Um, no one's on anxiety medication over there worrying about car payments or doing their taxes or anything. It's like, found a stick, I'm going to go play. And like, obviously that's not everybody there, but
Mm.
we're at an orphanage with like 40 kids. We're all like from various ages and walks of life and stuff. And it was just, yeah, really, really eye opening. And it's like, if you ever have an opportunity to go to like somewhere that's like third world like that, um, definitely take it up, because it's not like watching like a UNICEF commercial and you see the poverty and you're just like, yeah, that's really sad, and then you're actually there.
Mm.
You're like, okay, wow. This is their life,
This is
and
life.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is like, and people are still smiling, and people are still going forward, and it's no one's worried about having the newest iPhone. It's just, it's like, chill out, dude. You don't need the newest iPhone.
Ah, that
Yeah.
sounds. That sounds wonderful. Man.
Yeah. Well, I know not everybody has the opportunity to like travel. Um, I guess I should ask, like, have you been anywhere cool lately? Or
Uh, I took a trip to Oshiega last year, and then I think the my previous bit of travel before that was like I guess outside of Canada was to a couple trips to Chicago in like
mm.
the early 2010s, uh, mostly due to connections through World of Warcraft.
Oh,
Um,
nice,
yeah, it's an
nice.
interesting experience meeting people that you only know through the internet in person. But a bunch of pretty chill dudes.
Yeah. Had you
But
already like seen their faces before? Like,
I
were
have
they like
not.
sharing face cams and stuff?
I did not have any sort of conception of what any of them looked like. They were all as large as I expected an average American to be, though, so that was like my baseline. I think I knew like one of them was like a bit of an emo, or like more of an emo kid, like
Oh,
in his youth. Uh, so there was like that sort of expectation, but everyone else just kind of like you're just a generic man in my mind, like a silhouette with a question mark, just like a
right.
character that hasn't been unlocked in a video game.
That's interesting that you wouldn't even know what they look like, eh? It's funny too, because you probably constructed a visual in your mind of what you thought they looked like. Were they anything like that? Or
Not like I can't say with like absolute certainty, but I'm pretty sure I just like had no like even preconception of just like
or you literally just
yeah,
imagine them like
it's like
black silhouette with question mark?
you're like a name, and that's all I got.
Right.
If someone were to have come to the airport and told me that they were someone else, I would have been like, sure, that's you.
True.
That's what this
Yeah.
text says.
Maybe you
I
never
could have
actually
been
met them at
kidnapped.
all. Yeah. I have that. That's funny. It reminds me, because like sometimes I have that issue with music. Actually, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you're listening to it and you're like, man, I really like. I'll listen to some new like hip hop artists and I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. And then I'll watch a music video or see a picture of
Oh
them and
yeah,
go
yeah.
like, I don't like this person anymore. As soon as I see what they look like, all of a sudden it's like the sounds literally are less enjoyable. I don't know what's going on inside my brain, but like it'll seem like the visual can actually like change the way I like perceive the whole situation. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that.
I can't say I've quite experienced it, but there have been moments where I'm like listening to an artist for the first time. It's like coming on the radio or something, and then like I'll look them up. It's like, oh, that is much different than what I was
Yeah,
expecting.
yeah. Maybe that's bad to admit. I'm not sure. Like
You're
maybe
getting
like
canceled.
vision, like what people look like is turning me off. I'm
Oh,
judging
oh
people based
no.
on their looks. I think we're all doing that though, whether you want to admit it or not.
Probably,
Where I get
probably.
or whether you let it play into the way you actually treat that person, maybe. Because like first impressions are a real thing, but I think the way you treat that person after that, like, is kind of where your character comes out, I
Oh, for
guess.
sure, for sure.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So what things were you looking to in the future before the whole quarantine thing happened? Like what plans did you have down the pipeline? What's been sort of thwarted, and then now that quarantine is in
Ooh.
place, and uh, like what are you looking forward to after? Like what's the first thing you're gonna do once quarantine lets up?
Hmm. That's actually a good question.
I'm
Well,
full of them.
yeah, you got lots of them today. Like probably visit, um, visit family. Like go see my parents. If our dog is still alive, go see him. Spanky, he's like, I have no idea how he's still alive. Um,
I feel like you had that dog when I met you.
yeah, he's 17,
Damn.
or almost 17. Yeah, he's like he's just been on the deterioration path for the last like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just like losing his sight, losing his hearing, losing his weight. Um, he was like a healthy Jack Russell, at like 20, in the low 20 pounds. I think he was like 22, and now he's like 16. So it's like
Oh
you
yikes.
lost like a quarter of your body weight.
Yeah.
Let's say you were like you were lean and mean, and then you lost a quarter of your body weight. So he's like super tiny and just like bumping into everything. And um, yeah, they say he's got some sort of growth inside his um, liver, but then they wanted to do all this testing. They were like, it could be cancer, it could be something else. Do you want to put him through all this testing that's going to have all these side effects, or do you just want to kind of try and make his life as good as possible? And we're like, we'll just try and make his life as good as possible for the next bit.
However long. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and they said like 3 months, and that was like a year and a half ago. So, I would visit him. That's one thing I miss a lot, actually, because of the quarantine. Is I would go and visit him at my parents' place, um, at least like 2 or 3 times a week, and now I just can't. Like I can't go over there, so
Oh, that's
we
unfortunate.
do video chats and stuff. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's better than Spanky just like going out and getting hit by a car, and then all of a sudden it's like your dog's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, your dog is going to pass. Come to terms with it, and it's been time. So
Yeah.
like, we were expecting it. It's not something I'm gonna like. I'll be upset about it, but it's not like it's gonna be a
Shock.
shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Going to if he's still around, go visit him. Go say hi to my parents. Go visit some other friends that we've been just doing like video chats, and then um, maybe go to like Ethel's and grab a beer or something, and like
Hit a Taco Tuesday.
some food. Like, yeah, get some tacos like that. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. What about you? What are you looking forward
Ooh.
to doing?
I look forward to going back to the gym. Um,
Mm, yeah, it's a good one. Me too.
yeah, my plan was to like sort of be at a healthy BMI by the end of the year. Because like when I started in October, I was at like 240. Now I'm down to around 200.
Holy shit.
So speaking of, I guess losing 25% of your body weight, I guess that's my goal because like I think it's to be at like 180. for my height is like the healthy BMI area.
Right, right, right. How tall are you?
5'9", but according to Tinder,
Oh,
I'm 6'1".
it's a good move.
Yeah, you gotta. Sometimes you just gotta lie.
Right, right, right. And then yeah, and then when you meet them, you just go, the ruler was broken, or so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was.
It's a
I was in.
mistake.
I was in my platform shoes. I was at the disco. I was decided maybe I'll get my height checked at the disco.
Yeah, on Tinder. I love that.
I,
Yeah,
I
no,
gotta
that,
work on my
that
improv because that question's gonna happen. And I'm gonna freeze up like that.
mm, yeah, true. Yeah, you got to say like, my mom measured my height and told me I was 6'1". That should be your go-to.
Just shows I care about my mama, and my mama cares about me.
True, true. No, that's that's got to be attractive, right?
Yeah, everybody loves a mama's boy.
For sure. I feel like if you meet a girl and you say that you really love your mom and that turns her off, she's probably not the right
Oh,
girl
that's
anyway.
that's an absolute red flag of
Right.
I guess that's a red flag on both sides. It's like I met this guy. He won't stop talking about his mother. It's a weird Oedipus thing.
Oh, yeah, don't talk about her too much.
Yeah.
Express that you love her, but maybe move along to another topic. Are you like, yeah, that I guess that's one thing too that's kind of, if someone's not like in a relationship or like committed with someone and quarantined with them, like the whole dating scene's just like at a halt right now, eh?
Yeah.
Like, were you
My
were you like dating before?
I was not. I have gotten like maybe three like actual in-depth human conversation matches. Then the rest were just like ghosts.
Hmm,
It's rough out there for a pimp.
yeah. And that's on Tinder?
Tinder, Bumble, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, yeah. Is that like, I've dabbled in like the Tinder and on the Bumble, and then other people are saying, well, if you really want to do something, go to like Plenty of Fish or something more official, I guess.
Yeah,
People don't think Tinder or Bumble's as official, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I think certain apps just definitely have skewed more towards like a sort of fling type scenario versus like looking for a
Mm,
relationship, or somewhere just more so just like our entire brand is just like come here for a relationship. It's not here for hookups.
right. Can you still hear me okay, by the way? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Uh,
because that's kind of on halt right now. A lot of
oh yeah.
people like, because I get bored, and I've been on like Tinder and Bumble as well. I guess I shouldn't say because I'm bored, because that's not like the only reason. It's
Because
like
now you have the time.
trying to make connections and realizing I can't just go do them outside. Yeah, a lot of people are like literally like updating their descriptions, being like, "Hey,
Oh yeah,
let's have some meaningful conversation while in quarantine, and then maybe later we can like
that's how you know they're an
social
active user at
distance."
least. You know, you're gonna
True.
swipe. You're either gonna swipe back or pass on you. And if you don't hear anything back, you're just like, all right, this was just a
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. That's yeah. It can kind of mess with your
Oh, it
with
messes
your
with the
mental
psyche a
state
lot.
though. What's that?
It messes with the psyche a lot. Like there was a time where I was
Oh
very much
yeah.
like trying really really hard, and then I'm just kind of like, and that was probably like one of my lower points in the last like 5 to 10 years. But I've just like relaxed a bit, learned to love myself a
Yeah.
bit more.
Hey man, that's a really good place to start.
Yeah,
It's hard to like, yeah. That's it's weird how much of like a focus that has to be for most people, I think. Like just actually like taking care of yourself and like being able to like sit with yourself and be happy with all the shit that's going on inside of you, you know?
yeah,
'Cause it's hard to expect anyone else to like enjoy you if you don't really enjoy yourself.
for sure,
Maybe I'm
for
thinking
sure.
about it wrong.
No,
That's
no,
something I've been thinking about
that
a little
is
bit more
that is
lately.
bang on.
Yeah. So if you got issues, it's with yourself. It's just gonna like reflect out, and yeah, it's hard to decide. Like, do do you do like the try hard method, or do you do like the really laid back method? um it's like who
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
the whole online dating thing, it's like such a mind fuck.
yeah. There is no singular way to do it. So you just gotta figure out what works best for you.
Right.
I guess historically in my life, a lot of my sort of opportunities have come from just me just like passively hanging out and things pop up and I'm like yes, as opposed to like um, actively looking for opportunities rather.
Mm. Where they just kind of come to because you're already kind of in the same
Yeah,
space or interested in something similar, or yeah,
yeah.
that's probably a good way to go about it. It's just who has patience for all that, you know? That seems so like it's just so out there. Like you feel like you're not in control of any of that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Yeah.
Especially like as we get older, like outside of dating apps, it's just like where are we meeting people? Oh, at work. Well, dating coworkers like dicey territory because if things don't
Hmm.
go particularly well, then you just have to like see them every day, and that's like a rough experience for everyone involved.
Right.
As
Yeah.
opposed to
What's
like
that saying?
as opposed to
Don't
like
dip your
yeah
ink.
yeah as opposed to like a lot of people that I know that are in relationships. Most of them were just like met up through school because I was just like a place where you have a shared
Mm.
experience and you could see people regularly and just relate to them. But like at work, you're just kind of like focused on a task. You may not be necessarily connecting with your coworkers as much.
Yeah.
It's an interesting uh, time to go through thoughts of just intimate relationships.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if this is a new feature, but I was on like it was either Tinder or Bumble, but they now have like a phone call and like a video call
Oh yeah,
sort of
yeah.
feature built right into it. I don't know if that's something new to like move with the times or if they've always had that in there, but I thought that was kind of interesting because if the conversation's going well, then you could like bring them up or video or something like.
Mhm. I think that's a feature that they added, but now that everybody's in isolation, they're just like, okay, we're gonna promote this feature a bit harder, just because it may be
Oh.
giving us an edge or just like you a better outlet.
Mm, mm.
But yeah,
So I know you mentioned eating chicken. Is there anything? What would be your other like favorite go-to foods?
if I just had the option to eat whatever I want, there's like a bao sandwich shop, uh, up by the universities. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it is
No.
super freaking tasty. If you get the opportunity, once this all washes over, hit
Are you
up
not
that.
allowed to eat there anymore?
I don't think they're open while quarantine is in effect.
Oh, right.
And generally I need to like, I before I moved, I just spent a lot of money on takeout. Just like that was where most of my money that would probably have otherwise gone to like a rent went. Just like so
Right.
much
Yeah.
money on food a month. Um, so moving out was very much determined to like cut back on that as much as possible. That being said, since quarantine has been in effect, I've probably eaten at like restaurants on the plaza just like keep those businesses going since they're open. I want to like show some support, so I've been eating out a bit more, uh, which is probably the opposite
That's
of what should be
yeah.
happening.
Well, you're nice. Like that's a really nice like thought process to support the businesses around you while this is going on because they're just a lot of these people are just like screwed. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
people who like own a restaurant or um I heard a story of a guy who literally just like he just signed a 5-year lease for a space, and then they put like a couple 100,000 in renos into this place to make it into a restaurant, and then COVID hit,
oh
and it's
dear,
like, oh geez, now you have this huge lease, all these reno costs that you financed, and zero
no
income
income.
and
Yeah,
no prospect of any future income for months. Like, so it's that's one thing I've heard from people. Just if you have a business that you really support and they have like gift cards or something, just go buy some gift cards
mm-hmm.
because then they can have income and then you can eat there in the future, I guess, if they're still around, maybe.
Yeah,
But no, I guess you gotta you pick and choose what you want to spend your money on, because like us getting money now too, just everybody, it's like it's a bit of a tricky situation. I know the government's helping out in some ways, however they can, but
Luckily, I
I think
heard
if
that
people are
like the system that we have implemented to get people those sort of like stimulus checks is actually just like very functional, which is good to hear.
mm,
Which is like a couple day turnaround time before you get money in your account,
right,
which is like
right,
wild.
yeah, that doesn't seem like the way it like that's just not how it would have worked in my brain when I thought government helping out with money. That's like a month in the future or longer,
Yeah,
but I heard it's like 3 days that people are getting money. So that's really that's that's good to hear, because some people can't wait a whole month or whatever, like what I thought it was going to be. But so these sandwiches, then, is that like,
oh right.
describe to me what's going on in this
um
sandwich?
so like do you have a concept of like a sort of Vietnamese bao, which is like okay, so it's sort of like
Yeah,
it's sort of
kind of.
like a doughier um how best to, it's like a glutinous doughy sort of like I think it's rice flour based sort of bread,
Okay.
and you just sort of like uh, yeah, it's basically just like a Vietnamese taco, is how I will describe it. But instead of like like a soft tortilla or something, it's just like doughy this doughy thing.
Right. And it's like a centimeter thick, kind of the dough layer kind of ish.
Yeah, it's got some thickness to it for sure.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I got the image now. Yeah.
but yeah,
And then
just
what's in it?
they have a bunch of different fillings. There's like a lot of them are just like a sort of Asian fusion sort of thing. So there's like a chicken
Mm.
katsu. There's a fried fish one that is also very very good. Pork belly, either like five spice or like a crackling sort of pork belly. All of it's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
fantastic. Uh,
Yeah. Reminded me of Thailand a little bit here.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we had similar stuff like that. As soon as you described that, the doughy thing, I've had that before. Whether it's exactly the same or not, I'm not sure, but something
probably
something
is.
very similar,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, other than that, as far as like, because our meal prepping is just has just been like the same thing, week to week. There was a time in the recent couple of weeks where Costco actually just like ran out of chicken. So like, all right,
Oh,
we'll pivot and we'll pick up some other meat. So we made some like just like ground beef, which we just eat up with rice, a couple meals a day or a couple meals a week.
nice, nice. Yeah, that's similar to what we're doing over here. I'll do the prep thing, because I enjoy cooking, but I think I don't want to go through the whole process like multiple times a day.
Yeah,
So it's like cooking a bunch of chicken breast, cooking a bunch of like potatoes or rice, that kind of stuff, just so you have that in bulk in the fridge.
yeah, you just
It's
grab
a
and
good way
go.
to go. Yeah, yeah, totally. So what's how often are you working now? Is it like full-time hours, or
Oh
is
yeah,
it
it's
have
still
they
full time
reduced it?
hours. They gave us the option to sort of like shift schedules relative to one another. So basically, like if some people work 8 to 5, some people can work like 9 to 6 or like 6 to 2.
Mm,
Uh, if you request that, they will happily accommodate it because we wanna make sure that things aren't spreading as much as we possibly can while still being a functional business.
hmm. So what shift are you opting for?
I'm going a classic 9 to 5 because I've never
Nice.
actually worked a 9 to 5 before, and that was like the old phrasing where it's just like, yeah, you work an 8 hour 9 to 5 for 8.85 an hour. Um, Obviously minimum wage not that low here, but you know, just good honest living.
Nice. And then just to pivot too, because like with the similar interest here, just with podcast, are you
Mm-hmm.
posting this on any sort of podcast like um, platform, or on YouTube, or just streaming it? I know you mentioned streaming it on Twitch. So
Yeah.
like, what's your
So there's the live broadcast that is going on Twitch currently. There is the YouTube video component because Zoom. Oh god, shit. All right. I forgot to start recording on Zoom, so I won't have an audio or video until I rip it from the Twitch stream. Ooh, buddy, tech
Ooh.
issues are abundant. Um, but anyways, theoretically, there is the YouTube component where because Zoom's integrated record system has like a separate video and audio file, so you could upload like just the audio if you wanted. Um,
I didn't even
uh,
think about that, man, because I didn't see the little record icon in the top corner, and it
no,
like flashed in my mind, and then
that
like
is
out the
just
other side.
on me. Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. I my brain just malfunctioned.
that's okay.
It didn't register.
My solution will be to um, I'm gonna hmm. Okay,
Do you think you'll be able to pull it off your Twitch stream?
yeah, so Twitch can export to YouTube. That's not a problem. As far as like extracting the audio from a video, I don't have a
Oh
great
yeah.
way of doing that in my mind at the moment. My current solution is just to play the video and then through Audacity just like have my system sounds go into like the record line so that it's just like recording the audio from my machine and then I'll upload that file. As far as like where that's getting uploaded to, it's also the audio itself is getting uploaded to SoundCloud because um, I don't have a particular like podcasting specific platform like an Anchor FM or like a Pod Bay
Okay. Yep.
in the works at the moment. This is mostly just like proof of concept at the or as a podcast at this time.
I see. Yeah, it's actually really easy to rip audio off of a video with a program.
Excellent. I'll talk to you about this after.
Yeah, any sort of like video editing software, you can rip audio off very easily. So
Yeah,
we
that
can
makes
chat about
sense.
that. Yeah.
But now
Okay.
that I'm confronted with the reality that I need to solve a problem, uh, I think that brings us to the end of the show. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
Oh wow, it's 3:30, eh?
Yeah,
Time
we've been
flies.
going.
Oh, no, man, this was fun. I feel like I mostly talked a lot. So in hindsight, I feel a little bit bad that I didn't, bring a lot of those questions back to you. But yeah, it was definitely nice. Like
It's
just to be able to
it's perfectly fine.
reconnect and
Mostly because like my fear is that like as more episodes of this come out, as people start to ask me questions, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of the same questions from people that maybe don't listen to the show and to just like
Mm,
have a similar set of questions about like where I am and what I'm doing, versus like I'm the constant through these episodes. My guess is the one that's
right.
going to change. So the more that they
Mm,
can talk at length about what they're up to is definitely a benefit for me.
okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, yeah, like it was fun. If you ever want to do it again, I would be down for sure. If you're ever playing Call of Duty, man, let me know. We can hop on there. It's cross console, so and if you ever have any interest in that, let me know. And yeah, hopefully we can figure this audio out.
Dope.
If you want to, if you have any issues with it, just let me know.
Will do. Is there anything you'd like to promote at this time?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, for sure. If you want
Hold
to,
on. I'm gonna set you. I'm gonna set this speaker view so that's just you. Go for it.
ooh, okay. So
Just
if
right down
you're
the barrel of the camera.
if you're
Excellent.
interested in real estate or investment real estate, anything along those lines, definitely check us out. We are on YouTube and on any podcast app that you're listening on. We're called the Reitzel Brothers. Reitzel is Reitzel. You can check us out on YouTube podcast. Hit us up. I'm Matt Reitzel, so I'm on Instagram as well. And yeah, so if you ever want to connect, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to chat. Thanks, Chris.
No problem.
We appreciate that opportunity.
But yeah, so that'll do it for this episode 3 of Hello We Don't Talk, Let's Talk. I'm once again Chris Waugh, and I thank everybody for tuning in. Shout out to John, who was active in the chat. I need to forward you his contact information.
Perfect.
But yeah, bye everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, John. See you, Chris.